Max, you mentioned that it's sweeping the nation, so why not do it again? It's free money!
For your bookie.
Free money.
For your bookie.
College football picks against the spread. We took our first loss last week. Tough.
No crap.
We went 5-5 last week. Took our first L.
So just to be clear here,
we got juiced out.
You have gotten worse with every week.
That's not true.
Every week you have gotten worse.
That's not true.
The week before went better than the week.
I think the second week went better than the first.
I don't think that's true. I think you had a great first week, and I think it's just evolved.
I would need to go back and look, but I'll
So,
tell you that I'm 29, 15, and 2 on the year. That's a 65% clip.
Which is also
66% clip.
Which is also to say, if you want to have a correlations are not causations.
Mm-hmm.
But the more you've learned about these teams, the less accurate you've gotten.
Theoretically,
that's great.
But
it's great.
66,
free money for your bookie.
66%. Still making a living. Let's start 11 a.m. Saturday, Max.
Texas Tech taking on Kansas. Somehow this got reversed in mine. It's in Lubbock.
No, it's in Lawrence.
Oh, it's in Lawrence?
It's in
Okay,
Lawrence.
never mind. That's right. 11 a.m. Saturday in Lawrence. Tech is a 17.5-point favorite. That somehow seems conservative to me.
Yeah, it's weird. So Kansas, if you actually dive into the numbers, they do a couple of things okay.
Right.
They run the ball actually pretty effectively.
Yeah.
They throw the ball a lot because they're usually chasing, but when they're able to get ahead and run the ball, they're actually pretty decent at it.
Right.
Their two running backs, Khalil Herbert, the sophomore, and then Dom Williams, the freshman from Frisco Independence.
That's right.
They've been running the ball okay. Problem is, and here is the you can stop listening to me as soon as I say this. Their pass defense is terrible.
Yeah.
122nd in completion percentage, 128th in yards per pass, which means that it's twofold. One, they're not very effective as far as starting him, and two, they're not very good at stopping explosive plays,
right.
Which against Tech is death. Their rush defense is not a whole lot better. They do not sack the quarterback. They're 124th in sack percentage, or sack rate rather. There is one path, one very narrow path that you can see that would result in Tech losing this game or not covering this game. It would be they turn the ball over like 4 or 5 times, and Kansas runs the hell out of the ball.
Right.
That is the very narrow path they would have to walk. I don't see it. Tech on the road, it has they went to Houston. They beat a better team than Kansas.
The last time they were in Lawrence, it didn't go so well.
It didn't go so well, but I still like Tech. I'm going to take Tech minus 17.5 to beat Kansas. What's next, Max?
Louisiana Monroe at Texas State, 2 p.m. Saturday in San Marcos. Texas State, a 6-point dog.
Yeah.
To Louisiana Monroe.
So Louisiana Monroe, if you don't know about them, you probably shouldn't know a whole lot about them.
There's nothing to know.
They're actually a pretty decent offense. They run the zone read. They got 2 guys, their quarterback Caleb Evans, their running back Derek Gore. It's a zone read. They're about 58-42 run pass split. About 5 yards a carry, 30th in the nation. That's pretty solid. They pass effectively but not explosively, so they're very dink and dunk. If they need 5 yards, they can get it, but don't ask them to get 10. They do not turn the ball over, and they do not give up sacks. Those are the positive things about ULM. Defense is not good overall. It's very bad against the run, but Texas State does not seem like the kind of team that can exploit that. They're actually okay defensively, but they don't do anything special. They get to the quarterback and they cause a little bit of havoc. They force some turnovers and stuff like that. They are better. I think they're better than people think. Louisiana Monroe is not bad. Their defense has 2 very good linebackers, David Griffith and Caleb Tucker. I don't know if it really matters. I'm gonna take Louisiana Monroe minus 6 on the road. I hate going against home dogs, but I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with Louisiana Monroe minus 6. What's next, Max?
The biggin. 23 West Virginia visits number 8 TCU, 2:30 p.m. Saturday at Amon G. Carter Stadium. TCU, a 13-point favorite.
Jeez, 13. Who would have thought?
It's interesting.
So, and here's the bottom line of it is that I don't think West Virginia is actually that good.
It's hard to tell.
So they played one good team,
right?
Virginia Tech, and they lost by 7 on a neutral site,
right?
They have a huge offense, but their numbers are really buoyed by beating some really sorry teams. They beat East Carolina, they beat Delaware State, they beat Kansas. They've beaten some very
They're
soft
all
teams.
very bad.
Yeah. East Carolina might be the worst team in the country.
Yeah.
And Kansas might be the worst Power 5 team in the country.
Yeah.
They have good balance of the offense. They protect their quarterback well. They have some. They are very reliant on explosive plays. They have to hit big plays. If they don't hit big plays, they're not going to dink and dunk you down the field. The defense is not great, and when you've gone up against these types of teams, East Carolina, Delaware State, and Kansas, and you are 122nd in the nation rush defense, it's very bad news. They don't sack the quarterback. That's not good.
No.
They do make some plays in the secondary. I think their Keyser White, their defensive back, is pretty solid. I actually don't mind their quarterback, Will Greer. I know that he's kind of a joke because he transferred from Florida.
He's really good.
I think he's pretty solid.
He's pretty good. I think Florida would have a better record right now if he was still the quarterback.
2 good receivers in David Sills and Gary Jennings. But the bottom line of it is that I think TCU is coming home. They've had a bye week, which is huge. Yeah. The bye week, I think, is huge. I think they're the better team here. Being at home is helpful. And I just don't think. Look, I think West Virginia is in many respects like Oklahoma State light.
Right.
You know what I mean? And which is like Oklahoma light.
Right.
It's Oklahoma light is what it is.
Yeah.
And they went on the road and beat Oklahoma State by double digits?
Yeah.
It was double digits.
Yeah.
I'm taking TCU. I'm taking TCU minus 13. I think they hold serve at home. I think they win this game. I think they win this game comfortably, honestly.
See, here's what I could see though is a little backdoor cover. You know, when this TCU's going to win this comfortably. But I bet they win by like 10. Yeah. Even though it was never close.
They're up 17, and West Virginia punches in with 4 minutes left.
Right, the kind of the desperation
and then,
sort of.
This
has all the makings of TCU's going to comfortably find a way to win this game, but somehow your line is going to get ruined.
Absolutely see that. It's happened to me like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
So it could absolutely happen, but I'm going to take TCU minus 13. I believe in the Frogs. I'm going to go with them.
Fair enough.
What's next, Max?
Army at Rice, 5:30 p.m. Saturday. Army fresh off ending everything for UTEP and Sean Kugler resigning. Rice is a 13.5-point dog.
This is the toughest one to call for me because Army's not good. It's kind of a bad. Like last year, Army was okay. They were actually like a decent team, and North Texas lost to Army twice.
Yeah, and
that was not necessarily a shame face type thing because Army wasn't bad. This is a worse Army team.
Right.
They run the ball out of the triple option. They dominate time of possession, but they're a very bad running defense. They do get a lot of sacks, which is bad news.
Yeah.
I feel like the problem here is that Jackson Tyner's going to be running for his life back there. They're 28th in sack percentage. Rice is 77th in yards per carry, so they're fine.
Right.
But can they take advantage of a bad rush defense? They're 107th in sacks percentage allowed. That is to me the staggering stat.
Yeah.
I think Army has a chance to live in the backfield, which is very bad.
Yeah.
They throw a lot of Rice. Throws a lot of interceptions. Look, the bottom line of it is, can Rice stop the Army triple option? That's the name of the game. I'm super tempted to take Rice as a double-digit home dog.
Right. But here's the thing. I don't know if you've seen the latest Bill Connolly S&P Plus. Rice is actually the worst team in the country. But they beat UTEP, who's the next to worst team in the country, right? And he's super upset about the S&P rating because it would be perfect if UTEP was last. But guess what? His S&P says Rice is even worse than the team they beat.
Max, who should I take?
But again,
this is the toughest one to call.
The home dog thing.
13.5. Yeah. You're asking a road team that's not very good.
Right.
To cover 13.5?
Yeah, because what did they beat UTEP by 14?
14?
Is that right?
Yeah.
At home.
At home. I think I'm going to take Rice.
Oh,
I hate it.
Oh, I hate it. I think I would roll with Army. I think I would. But
I'm going to take Army.
Now you're going to do it?
I'm going to do it.
Just so you can yell at me next week when you have a
that's definitely
4-5 record.
That's definitely part of it. Yeah. But I will tell you that I am.
I just don't. There's no reason to trust.
Let's go from one very hard game to call to another very hard game to call for kind of a totally different reason. Yeah. Whereas one is a battle of terrible teams.
Yep.
Here's an actual awesome game.
SMU at Houston, the biggin, 6 p.m. Saturday. Houston somehow, to me, is a 6-point favorite. Yeah. I would have put this at like 3.
So
give them the home advantage, and that's it.
Interesting. What that tells me is that I think Vegas is very skeptical of SMU's defense, and I think for ample reason. Connecticut's a bad offense, and they put up some points last week against Houston.
Guess what though?
SMU.
Houston's offense stinks.
Houston's offense is not very good.
It is bad.
Houston's going to have to score to win this game. SMU on the road scares me. It's the first time they've been away from the DFW Metroplex. Houston has been very good at home. That is interesting to me. Man, I don't know.
SMU's also played in a much more hostile environment and acquitted themselves fine against TCU. They got smoked.
Against I would say, a comparable defense to Houston.
Yeah.
They scored 28 points.
Yeah.
The question would be, let's just say they repeat.
But it took the bag of tricks.
It did take the bag of tricks, but let's just say there's also a the fact that a better Houston team than this year's team went to a worse SMU team from last year and got smoked.
My whole thing coming into this week, I brought it up in one of our previous shows, is if I came to you today and said, I will promise you that SMU will score 24 points, do you have any reason to think that Houston will win that game? I don't think they can score 24 points.
And they wouldn't need to score 24. They need to score 31 to cover.
Right, and that's the whole thing. Like, I'm taking SMU.
I'm going to take SMU as well.
Yeah.
You convinced me. I was waffling. These are the two toughest ones to call.
SMU has everything going for it right now. Right? They're feeling it.
Yeah.
And Houston is their best player's hurt. They don't know if he's going to play.
Yeah.
This isn't going as well as they thought it was going to go to start the season.
Yeah.
And they almost lost to Temple.
Yeah. The only thing about this is that the Houston secondary makes plays, and
absolutely.
Ben Hicks has been
turnover prone, but so far he's done fine. He's kind of like the Kenny Hill. You're waiting for the other shoe to drop because you know he has the ability, but you're also terrified he's not going to take care of the ball.
Why do we do this segment? This segment sucks.
It's your favorite.
I'm taking SMU +6.
Yeah.
On the road. Hate it. What's next, Max?
Kansas State at Texas. 6 p.m. Saturday. Texas, a 4-point favorite.
We talked about them last week when they played Baylor, but Kansas State, this is the most Bill Snyder team of all time. They run the ball effectively. They do not want to throw because they are not good at it. Every time Kansas State throws the ball, it's a bad idea, especially this week. Against Baylor, maybe you can get away with it. This week, you can't. You do not want to throw.
Right.
The defense is great. It's great against the run. It's solid against the pass. This is a game that, it looks like Sam Ehlinger is getting the start. Is that right? Sam Ehlinger is going to have to win this game for Texas. They're going to have to go out there and win this game. Beyond that, I don't love that Texas has had trouble with mobile quarterbacks like Jesse Ertz. If you go back to the Maryland game, how'd they lose? They got torched on the ground by a running game in Maryland that is, looking better as the season goes on. But I will tell you that this game scares me if you're Texas. 4 points, I think, is a perfect line because I think on a neutral site you'd be like, Texas by a little bit.
Yeah.
Kansas State. The weird thing is that Kansas State, Manhattan has been a house of horrors for Texas. In Austin, it's been better. They've had a relative home field advantage.
Yeah. But Ron Prince isn't coaching this game.
Ron Prince ain't coaching this game. Ron Prince ain't walking through that door. I'm taking Texas -4. I think they cover this game. I think they win it. I think they win by about 7. Here's the thing. They're either going to win by about 7 or they're going to lose by about 10.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I go. And so I'm going to end up being just a State of Texas homer. I'm going to go Texas -4. What's next, Max?
Interesting line here. Southern Miss at UTSA, 6 p.m. Saturday. UTSA, a 13.5-point favorite. Boy, I like them outright, but whoo.
Okay, so here, and you're hitting on something. I want to do one thing here. Let's remember last week, North Texas went to Southern Miss, and they were a 9-point dog. They ended up winning outright. UTSA didn't play, so we don't have a data point there. Let's remove home field advantage and say, okay, on a neutral site, they had Southern Miss favored by 6. And then let's take out home field advantage in this. That means that UTSA would be favored by 10.5. They're essentially saying that if the game were played last week between North Texas and UTSA on a neutral site, UTSA would be a 16.5-point favorite? Now, that math doesn't necessarily add up,
it's funny
but
math.
it's very rough estimate. It's a little odd to me.
Yeah.
Suddenly, after totally undervaluing them for the entire year, Vegas has hopped on board the Roadrunner bandwagon.
Yeah.
Southern Miss, when you go back and you break down that loss to North Texas, it's a very weird loss.
Yeah.
They stop the pass fairly well with a strong secondary. They don't sack the quarterback. They don't get a pass rush. The running defense is okay. The offense is balanced, about 52-48 pass is how it ends up going, but it's not very explosive.
Right.
They're not going to hit big plays. But they do not turn it over, and they don't force turnovers. They are kind of turnover neutral type team. Their running back Ito Smith is the key here. They have to run the ball if they're going to be effective in this game. The thing that stands out to me, I think UTSA wins this game. Southern Miss is very reliant, I think the only way that you beat this UTSA defense is with big plays.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone else has tried to dink and dunk and dink and dunk and dink and dunk, and it hasn't worked against a UTSA defense. Southern Miss is not a team that hits big plays. That said, you're asking UTSA to cover 13.5. That said, they're coming off of a bye week. Golly.
I just look at it as UTSA is a solid football team. I think they're going to win a lot of games this year. I just don't see them as a team that runs up scores.
I have Southern Miss underlined here. I'm going to take Southern Miss plus 13.5.
UTSA wins this game, no question.
UTSA wins this game 34-24.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think they cover it. 13.5 is asking a lot.
I think it is.
So I'm going to go with I'm going to take it Southern Miss plus 13.5. What's next, man? I'm sorry, Southern Miss plus 13.5. Yes.
Right.
What's next?
Number 1, Alabama. At Texas A&M, 6:15 p.m. Saturday. Texas A&M is a 26.5-point dog, and I will do this before you do, so I can be the bad guy. I think that's generous. I love you, Texas A&M.
So,
I want things to go well, but this is gonna be ugly.
So, Alabama, this is gonna stun you about the number 1 team in the nation, but Alabama is super good.
Yeah.
And they're super good at everything.
There isn't a number you can't like.
Here we go. I ran this down. I wanted to have this list.
Yeah.
Here's how good Alabama is. They're third in the nation in rushing, 6.7 yards per carry, and they do it by running a lot. They're 14th in the nation in run percentage.
Yep.
They're 66-34 run. They're effective when they throw the ball. They're 32nd in completion percentage. They're explosive when they throw the ball. They're 30th in yards per pass. They're great against the run. Fantastic. 12th in the nation in yards per carry allowed. They don't give up big plays, and they make plays in the secondary. They're 10th in interception rate. If they have a weakness, they are only okay at sacking the quarterback. They're only okay.
But guess what? You get to play a true freshman.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts is both their leading passer, their leading rusher. They've got just stable of running backs, Damian Harris, Bo Scarborough, Najee Harris. Their secondary's ludicrous with Ronnie Harrison and Minka Fitzpatrick. They got a great defensive lineman in Daron Payne, Sean Dion Hamilton. So here's for the Aggie side. The Aggies are 23rd in the nation against the run. So that's good. That's a strength-on-strength matchup.
Right.
A&M's been pretty decent stopping the run, and they've been pretty and Alabama's super good at running the ball. Okay?
Right.
That's a strength-on-strength matchup. They're only average against the pass, and that's where they're going to get killed, I think. They're going to get beat. They actually run the ball okay, so again, another strength-on-strength matchup, but again, advantage at Alabama. There's nowhere, and passing's been a problem, so every time, I want to say this as loudly as possible, every time A&M throws the ball on Saturday, it's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Every single time. Every single time. A&M has one shot in this game. They have got to win at the line of scrimmage, which doesn't seem possible against Alabama, and they have got to sack Jalen Hurts a lot.
Yeah.
They have to do that. If they do those two things, they can keep it close. This is more about Alabama than it is about A&M, but Alabama is a godless killing machine, and they look and this is the kind of game. I think you look at what they did to Vanderbilt. I don't think Nick Saban's taking his foot off the gas.
I don't think so either. I think part of the issue, too, is in a lot of these games, A&M's made some really bad mistakes. Christian Kirk's had trouble with his fair catches. Just little turnovers that when Nicholls State recovers it on the 24, nothing bad happens because you can make some stops. It's not going to happen on a short field against Bama.
We said it on Monday that A&M has looked like a great second-half team the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. If they're not a great first-half and second-half team, they're going to get buried, and it won't matter.
Yeah.
I'm going to take Alabama plus 28 or minus 26.5. I can't believe I'm taking a home 26.5 or road 26.5 point favorite, but I am. Give me Alabama. What's next?
Finally, Western Kentucky at UTEP.
You know what?
What? Oh, here we go. Here we go. You're going to believe in the 12th man, aren't you?
Give me A&M. A&M plus 26.5.
All right.
A&M plus 26.5. I believe, Aggies! I believe you can lose by 24.
After all of that.
After all that.
For no reason, you've just decided,
Bill Connolly's advanced metrics like A&M. I'll say that.
Okay.
That's one thing.
Like A&M did not get murdered?
I'm taking-
There's not like they like A&M. Let's calm down here.
I'm taking A&M.
Western Kentucky
That
at
feels-
UTEP.
that's such a dumb pick.
7 p.m. Saturday. UTEP is an 18.5-point dog.
Here's one.
Sure.
Western Kentucky does one thing well, so that's it. They play pretty good defense, and that's over. Now, look, you could say, are they going to have the dead cap balance because of new coach and Mike Price? Not this quickly. I mean, that might be something down the road we can discuss. Western Kentucky's pretty good. Offense is pretty trash, but it doesn't matter because they do one thing. They cannot run the ball at all. But UTEP's got one of the worst pass defenses in the nation. Western Kentucky's going to carve them up. They can name their score. I'm taking Western Kentucky minus 18.5. There you go. How easy was that? So, my free money picks that I already hate. Texas Tech, minus 17.5 at Kansas. I like Louisiana Monroe, minus 6 at Texas State. I like TCU, minus 13 at home against West Virginia. I like Army, minus 13.5 at Rice. I like SMU, plus 6 at Houston. I like Texas, minus 4 at home against Kansas State. I like Southern Miss, plus 13.5 at UTSA. I like Texas A&M, plus 26.5 at home against Alabama. And I like Western Kentucky, minus 18.5 at UTEP. That's free money, and that's Texas football today.